terms of a motif for the McClane character, that's already been established from the previous movies, and it's something that I use throughout the movie. It's a very simple motive. It's just this repeated note and then going up a half step, almost similar to the Jaws motive. I met Len Wiseman working on Underworld Evolution, the second Underworld movie. It was my first time working with him, and he was very particular about colors and the sounds and what we would introduce as orchestral colors into the orchestra. Very much strings and brass and percussion, and not real fan of the higher register instruments. When we started on this, that was what I was thinking, but then after we started working on it, it was more a question of using the entire orchestra. In that respect, it was fun to work together a second time.
What's happening here is so much cooler than what I'm doing next door,
I think the biggest challenge for me in this project was the fact that it was the fourth in a sequel, and that there was a musical identity associated with the past three scores, and having it have some kind of seamless continuity, but also sound modern. Michael came and scored the first three Die Hard movies, and I was very conscious of that when we were doing this. It was definitely a Die Hard movie, and there wanted to be a connection. Len wanted a connection. I thought there should be a connection between the first three and what I was doing, but yet also I have my own style. What we ended up doing is using some motives for Bruce Willis' character, McClane, and introducing that into the score, as well as some stylistic things that was used in the first three. You know, I'm always looking for ways to add something new and different to scores. So we had just a percussion session. I didn't want to solely rely on synthetic electronic elements, but yet I wanted to take acoustical sounds and manipulate them in an electronic way. So what we did was we recorded the percussionists playing groove type stuff on all sorts of instruments, from little small shakers to larger metallic drums and all kinds of things. And then we took that and we brought it back to my studio and cut it up and processed the stuff through the computer and created loops out of it that we used then as a basis for some of the rhythmical elements in the score. We meet with the director and spot the movie. That's when you go through the movie and decide all the places that you might want to have music. And then from there, just go and write stuff, mock it up, have an electronic studio, represent all the instruments to some degree, and play it for the director. And then from that point, it goes to be orchestrated, and then the parts are copied, and then we come here to the scoring stage and record. The composing process is actually putting the ideas down. The orchestration process is taking the ideas and sort of writing them out for the different instruments of the orchestra. And that is often delegated to other people, and especially now when you're getting new cuts of the movie so rapidly, a lot of the time is taken up by just conforming to the new pictures. And then when we actually come here to the scoring stage, for the most part I've been using the same guy for a few years to conduct, this guy Pete Anthony, but I also enjoy to conduct as well. It's easier sometimes to be in the booth, but I conducted 2 days on this score out of the 5. The first day, everybody has the jitters. I mean, there's so many things, not just with the music, as whether the director will like the music, but there's all these black dots on a page and all these notes, and, you know, are they going to be in the right place even, you know? It's just how the orchestra's going to sound, and whether the players are in a good mood, and whether the humidity is right in the room to get a good sound, and so many things that are just going through your mind. And so when you finally have that downbeat, the first downbeat, and we're recording with the musicians and it sounds good, it's such a relief. You feel like, all right, now we're getting into it, and it's exciting. The components of the orchestra are, you can sort of break them down into 4 simple groups: the strings, the woodwinds, the brass, and the percussion. In this movie, the music editor, the person that's actually going to cut the music into the movie, you need to have what's called splits, the orchestra divided into sections, so that If he's going to be editing a scene, music to a scene, he'd be able to take the percussion out or add it in or do whatever he needs to do so it becomes seamless. So we often recorded in what they call stripes, when you record the strings separate from the brass and percussion, for instance. I'd say on probably about 70% of the cues, 60 to 70% of the cues we recorded that way, so there'd be room for editing and changing later on. The version of God Bless America that we did was called a source piece of music, meaning that it's something that's actually on film. You know, it's cheaper to have the orchestra here and re-record it than to pay the reuse fee.
Let's do it one last time, Pete. Francesca, beginning. Da, 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 out.
Boy, I mean, there's so much music in this movie. I think we recorded, including everything, over 120 minutes of music, which is a lot for a movie. I'm real happy with the sounds we got. It's very percussive, and all the sounds we got, combining electronic and acoustical sounds and using the orchestra in a very rhythmical way. I mean, I don't know how much you'll hear under the gunfire, explosions and all, but that was a lot of fun. There's a lot of great composers out there and a lot of people that are extremely talented, and the fact that I'm able to do this and make a living writing music for movies and have the fun that I have and be with the people that I'm working with, I feel incredibly fortunate.
Come on, John. Say something funny.
I want you to all say for me right now, because you're all in the picture today. You're in the big picture. Yippee-ki-yay, you know. There you go. 1, 2, 3. Yippee-ki-yay!